How has playing video games affected your life for the better? I learned English from playing video games. Years later, now, I just got a new job where one of the requirements is speaking English. Would never get it if I didn't play video games in the past. Do you remember how annoying was not understand anything about what you're supposed to do? And then after hours of research, realized that you just need one item that you already had. Hours of research? Boy, back in the early days of gaming we didn't have the internet. We had whatever hints and guides might be posted in physical magazines, and if the information you needed was in a magazine from 3 months ago you were solved. I was stuck in Monkey Island 2 on Mega Monkey difficulty for half a year trying to get a map piece from a seagull. I had a pretty good idea I needed a dog from the other end of the island to come with me, and I tried everything to put a leash on it, lure it with food, anything. The only thing I didn't try for 6 months was to pick the damned dog up. Imagine if someone 200 years ago read the second half of your comment. Same. Living in a non-English speaking country, I was the only one knew English fluently in speaking and writing. Not perfect of course, but still, better than most of my friends. YouTube is also amazing for learning English. That's what a friend of mine did who wasn't that good in English. Playing the original The Sims when it first came out, I was soon frustrated at the limited items of furniture available. When The Sims Transmogrifier was released, enabling people to make their own items to use in the game, I bought myself the latest version of Photoshop 5.5, did the tutorial, opened my own fanzine so others could also use the stuff I made. From that, I learned web design and not just Photoshop but other Adobe software, and was able to add graphic and web design to my self-employed portfolio, gaining many more clients along the way. Man, I loved The Sims 2 growing up. My brother and I used to play it so much, got started with Double Deluxe and worked our way to all of the expansion packs except hobbies, could literally never find it, and when we didn't have money. That was a long time ago, and now that he moved out he'll play Sims 4 on the PS4 and remember the good old times. We used to both have a character we would play on and compete to see who could have the most money and the biggest house and kids going to college and owning a business. It was awesome and he was a lot better, but I really loved playing it. Sims 2 is still one of my favorite games, but not having a PC to play on is a drag. Still have all the games somewhere. I was a lonely kid growing up who didn't have many friends, and those I did have I would lose touch with. Got bullied a lot from kinder all the way up to high school/college. Abusive father, legit got cops involved a few times. A lot of stuff went wrong that was outside of my control at the time. Still sometimes does. Video games gave and still give me an out to that reality. Like, if ever some real bad stuff was going on, I could just turn one on and either feel wanted, needed, and generally like I mattered, or have an outlet to empty out a lot of rage into some unlucky NPCs. If I didn't have them, specifically when I was a lot younger and didn't know how to handle a lot of that stuff in any other way, I honestly might not be here. And I'm sure the same goes for some others out there as well. My older brother and I never really got along, but there was one summer when we were in middle school/high school that we played Sims busting out on the GameCube every night. That game had split screen, so there was no fighting over whose turn it was to play. We would only play for like 30 minutes each night, but it became the thing I'd look forward to each day that summer. That was the first time I ever remember fully getting along with my brother. I miss those days. I have snap reflexes when I'm shooting at monsters in real life. Time for my spring demon cleaning. Hand me the chainsaw. Thank you for your service. I have not seen a single monster thanks to you. Playing Age of Empires as a kid was what got me first interested in history. It's still one of my major interests, and I just love learning about all kinds of stuff from the past all the time. Oh, and playing Fallout introduced me to all this kick-ass 50s music. Say what you will about the newer games, but Uranium Fever is and will always be my jam. You can learn a lot of history from video games. as long as you know it's tweaked for practical and entertainment reasons, that is. Assassin's Creed 2 was like a virtual tour you could kill people in. Assassin's Creed Black Flag made me Google a lot of the characters and read about them. The game itself is the stuff of fantasy, but the real people they based the characters on were super interesting. I was sucked in more by Assassin's Creed 3, but yeah, the characters based on real people truly are spectacular. I got a B on my American History final without opening a book just by playing Assassin's Creed 3. That game was super accurate. Playing Age of Empires helped me understand those isometric math problems. Gave me a hobby and something to keep my mind from sinking into an endless pit of anxiety and depression. I can talk with friends while doing things we all like to do. Also, gives me stuff to brag about. And it's a relatively cheap hobby. I know games and consoles can be expensive, but it's not like it's a money pit like other hobbies are. The setup is expensive. The rest is dirt cheap. It's almost entirely upfront costs since you're paying for your internet connection anyway because this is the 21st century. Hell, even subscription-based games require significantly less per month than most other hobbies out there. Turns out that math is a lot more digestible when you have an activity to apply it to and see its effects in real time. Edit. Y'all are getting into some crazy math games and I'm just talking about how gratifying it is to bonk a pickled T-Rex on the head with a giant hammer. Especially in Minecraft. You can effectively find the gate to the final boss using coordinates and stuffs, which I don't really get. There's a lot more than just that in Minecraft. Sure, you can use triangulation to find sanctuaries with only 2 eyes, but you can also learn digital electronics with redstone and programming through modding. Not to mention Minecraft's command block/data pack programming language that allows you to make custom additions in the vanilla game. Programmer here, I'd advise people who want to learn, to start here or with redstone instead of diving straight into modding. Well, for one, playing RuneScape in my early teens taught me how to type quickly. I still remember the time my dad installed one of those typing practice programs on his computer and proudly told me that he learned to touch type at a brisk 42 WPM, then recommended that I install it too because learning how to type quickly is useful and you might need it in the workforce one day. He was awfully surprised when I fired up the program and immediately started typing at 110 WPM no problem at all, just from my time spent advertising the items I wanted to buy and sell in RuneScape. I'm with you there. You have to learn to type quickly, otherwise you never had the chance to shit-talk the other kid that was just about to granite mall spec your sorry ass in the wilderness. You will also learn the basics of a completely unregulated capitalist market, how not to get scammed by being scammed, the importance of patience and hard work, etc. Haha, definitely. I still remember that sinking feeling after buying 500 U logs, then seeing the 500 oak logs appear in my inventory after the trade. In hindsight, I'm glad I learned to double-check the trade window relatively early on instead of making a much more expensive mistake later. I saved for my first whip, and got scammed for my first whip within about 1 hour. Harsh lessons were learned in the virtual world so that hopefully I'll never have to learn them again as an adult. Met wonderful people that I love to play with and talk to. They are a part of why I can be happy. I meet a lot of cool people through video games, and rarely meet bad people. On Reddit, I meet a lot of assholes, and a few nice people. Hey, there are a lot more nice people than you think, fuckhead. Yeah, you absolute idiot. I'm a nice person. Embrace IT, moron. I'm a better problem solver. This should be higher up. The amount of creative thinking you have to do to play games effectively, whether you notice it or not, is severely underrated. And this is something that isn't really encouraged or taught formally growing up, at least in most of the US. Whenever I'm at work or with friends and there is some activity, riddle, or just a random problem, myself and other people who play games are the ones actively pursuing reasonable solutions. Non-gamers just get confused and say, I don't know what to do. What could we do? I dunno, try something? Literally anything? Cosmic Spacehead. It took me a week to figure out I was supposed to give a balloon to a scary monster. He would then float off to allow me to put icing sugar in the pond so I could get to the next screen. Adventure games taught me to think around corners. Oh, for sure. People say that video games turn your brain to mush, and, while this is definitely correct, I feel smarter both academically and in a sense of common sense. I'm not panicking right now about having to stay home VC of Corona. Honesty though, for some people it's a curse, but to a few of us it's a blessing. It's sad that nobody will read this, but whatever. When I was in 5th to 6th grade I made some huge mistakes and hit my deepest low ever. Crush rejected me, people started bullying, I turned into a bully just to be bullied again, and I had pretty nasty friends and even nastier grades. That's also the reason that I developed depression. In 7th grade I cut all connections since classes got mixed and I got a completely new social environment. My brother introduced me to League of Legends because he said that playing this I need to focus a lot, and focusing on something was a huge problem for me. It was a rough start at the beginning, but I got the hang of it. My concentration skyrocketed and so did my grades. I went from worst in class to top 3, gained confidence, learned how to adapt to situation, acted with much more caution and many other things. And with the help of another aspect which doesn't fit for this question, I was able to turn my life for better. In other words, video games saved my life in multiple ways and made me a better and smarter person. What about you? How has playing video games affected your life for the better? Leave a comment. And subscribe to this channel if you want to see more same videos.